So, so for you to know the port numbers, you need to memorize this. Like if I'm using FTP, I use this range or range of this. If I'm dealing with DSCP here and IPsec, and you see their transport protocols that carries them and all of that. So, like I said before, this one too is not a known port. So the application that you're using is supposed to have a port number. If it doesn't have, you search through it through using a netstart command. It will help you to get the port numbers that you are using and all of that. So that's that for um, this that I thought about. So, but there is still more to this. When you read your material, you see more complex configurations that I may not want to go into. Just leave for us to go and read up. Now, there is for configurational sake to avoid complex configurations. There sometimes you might make mistake of configuring wrongly and you now deny someone that is supposed to be permitted and all of that and all of that. So to avoid issues like that, there is a good configuration that you can use to uh, leave ACL for only for established traffic. Now, what I mean by established traffic is, you know that if you can remember what I talked about in TCP, TCP session handshake is a three-way thing. TCP session to be established. The TCP session has a three-way handshake. One is sync, the other one is sync acknowledgement, and this one is acknowledgement before the data is being transmitted. So that is only when TCP session will be established. It's a three-way handshake. Now, it happens if this guy wants to communicate with this guy, they will establish a session, TCP session, before they will now start um, talking. This one is a synchronization sync. I've explained this thing before. The second one is synchronization acknowledgement. Acknowledgement. Then this one is acknowledgement. This one is acknowledgement. Before they will now start sending data to themselves. So I said, when this guy wants to communicate with this guy, they establish that TCP session as a three-way handshake. Now, also, when any member here wants to communicate to any member here, maybe this one is through internet, they will need to establish a session, TCP session. Now, for security purposes, it's always good to configure your router here. You see this place? To configure that place to only permit established traffic from the inside. So nobody can come from outside to my inside, except it's me that actually established that session. So the only way something can come inside is if H1 have already asked something to the server and server is responding. That is only time it can pass. But someone cannot just stay from outside and communicate to me. Router would not allow it. So connection must be established from the inside. So how do you configure that? I am supposed to configure it on this interface, fast Ethernet 000. Look at it here, as out. So what am I configuring? I'm going to configure that TCP must be established. See that's his line. TCP must be established for something to pass, and also echo reply. Like now, if I ping server, that's echo. Server is responding to me. That's echo reply. So it's supposed to allow echo reply. That's the second line. The third line is unreachable. You know that when you are pinging, the protocol that carries as a header is ICMP. Very important you know that too. ICMP. For pinging, when you are pinging, it's ICMP that carries it as header. It carries ICMP header. So if I ping now and it was unreachable will now be coming back. So router should permit unreachable as well, so that if I ping it unreachable, I'll be able to get it. So the only thing I allow is I have to link must be established first. You can only allow established link, and you can only allow echo reply and unreachable. Every routing is denied. There's supposed to be a protocol here, IP or IC, TCP and ICMP. You deny every routing. So it's very important command configuring ACL to support established traffic is important and a very good configuration. And where are we doing it? Where are we implementing it? Here as out. Look at it as out. So that's one. The other things too I still need to talk about is this. You know that we've done some configuration. I've taught us some configuration on the VTY. VTY is a virtual terminal connection access. Like if someone wants to have a remote access to your router or your switch, you can actually configure on the router the way the person is supposed to have access to it. We talked about this thing before when we configured. I hope you are seeing my screen. Hello. I hope we are seeing this screen. Hello, are we seeing what I'm marking? I just marked good on the router.
Yes.
Can we see that?
Yes.
Okay, I need to be sure that we are seeing it. So if I'm configuring my line VTY, then I used to, do I still have such configuration? Let me see if I still have it. Hold on, let me check. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Okay, can you see my screen now? New screen. Can you see when I talk about VTY, see the line VTY here. You can say, oh, password is Cisco. And at any login, you should demand that. We've done this thing before now. And we even
Yes.
treated local login. Oh, local login is not here. I even taught us how to make it to be local login. Instead of when you try to telnet, it will ask of password. You can do local login. We've done this thing before. Let's say on this, let me just quickly do it here. On this router, enable configure terminal on line VTY 0 to 15. I can decide that, oh, there's a password. You should use password is Cisco, and at any login, you should demand that password. That is it. And let me do other configurations like username Cisco, password Cisco, enable password. Let's say Cisco. Okay. Now, if on my line VTY, on my VTY, the way it should be accessed, transport input. They can use Telnet, SSH, or anyone can go. So this is my router. So I can come to this system now and go to my command prompt. Maybe I'm not an IT person, but I understand how to configure that. Or even if I'm an IT person, I can stay in any system and turn to the router. The gateway of the router is this G000, and the IP address is 2.1. So 2.1, I can just telnet to 192.168.2.1. See that it's open, it's asking me password, and password is Cisco. I am on the router now, so I configure the router from wherever I am. This enable password again, Cisco. So I can start configuring the router. I can even see the configuration of the router for my system and all of that. That's that for VTY. And I use at any login, you should ask of password. But I can decide to, I don't want, I want you to ask of username and password. I go to line VTY and I say login. You should use local login. That means if someone telnet to it, it will ask the person username and password instead of just asking of password. So can we try that again? Now I am exiting. So let me telnet again. Telnet to the router. You see that it's asking me of username and password. Cisco. So I am on the router now because I changed my login as local login. So that is that. So anybody can stay anywhere. I stayed on PC5. I can go to PC4 and still log in. I go to PC4 and go to my command prompt and say telnet to the router. I think it's 2.1. Sorry, wrong connection. 2.1, not 2.21. 2.1. See that it's open. So Cisco, that's the router. Cisco again, that's the router. So I can stay in any system to configure the router. But for security reasons, it might not be proper in some organizations and setup. So I can make it such a way that if you want to configure the router, you have to come to the server. I can make it only on the server. If you stay here, it will not. You can stay anywhere, it will not configure except you're on the server. How can I do that? It's from this command. It's from this command. You see, I am on line VTY. This one is old configuration, old routers. Okay, but it runs from 0 to 15. Now, for me to put more security on my VTY, this is actually to put security, more security on virtual terminal connection access. So for me to put more conditions, so you know that someone must be on a particular system before you can telnet. I can just create access list for that system, which is access list 3. I am permitting only a particular host. Look at it there. Only a particular host. Now, when I enter my like VTY, I now put access class 3 in. So it's only going to allow only this host to telnet to the router. No other person can. If you stay, like now, if someone stay here, you're an attacker, you can never have access to this router. Except you come to this system, possibly your server or something. If you stay in any other place, you will not. So for security reasons, sometimes this is necessary. Securing your VTY through access list. So it's very important for your exams and even for production environment. So the next thing I would like us to talk about is the third access list, which is named access list. So far we'll be talking about access list. I said we have two types of access lists. We have types. I don't think is here. We have standard access list. We have extended access list. We have, look at it. We have standard access list. We have extended access list. They all have their respective ID numbers. This one is for extended. So we actually dealt with standard.
Can you scroll up so that I can see that command?
Sir?
I'm trying to copy that command, that VTY access command. Can you scroll up?
Oh, sorry about that. I need to bring it out again. Okay, that's the code. So this is the access list that you've created.
Yes, yes.
And when I want to implement it on my visual terminal, I use access class. Then the ID number that I wanted to use, of course, is in. So it could be only from insider. And that insider must be on a particular system alone. So let me know when you are done with that.
Okay.
Okay. So I was somewhere before. So I was talking about, I want to still remind us that we have different types. We've dealt with standard, we've dealt with extended. So this is named.
I'm done.
Named ACL. Now, named ACL, if you've learned this, you've learned that. Named ACL is the use of either of these standard or extended formats. Now, if you want to use name SCA does not have any number, but it uses standard or extended format as a reference, and it uses descriptive name rather than a number. So actually, it uses standard or extended ACF formats that are referenced by a descriptive name rather than a number. Now, see the way to use named. IP, know that all those ones doesn't have anything IP. But this one has IP access list. You specify whether you're using standard or you're using extended, like so you say IP access list. Is either you are saying standard or extended. If like in this place now, standard or extended, you now put a name of your choice. Now here we say IP access list extended, and the name we are using is sales only. Now, if I'm using extended format, when I press enter, I am supposed to use extended format like permit IP.
I'm not seeing your packet tracer. I'm not seeing your packet tracer.
Sorry. Can you see it now? I just marked good. Now, can you see the good? I marked another good. Can you see that?
Yes, yes, I can see now.
I marked good. Can you see the good? Second good.
Yes.
Third good. Okay.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
please always let me know if you're not seeing. So, I was saying before that in extended, as in the named ACL, we are using either standard or extended format. Standard or extended format to describe. Okay, look at what I meant here. Named ACL types. Now, named ACL uses standard or extended format that are referenced by a descriptive name. I hope you can see that now. It says standard extended format that are referenced by a descriptive name rather than a number. You see what I'm underlining?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I can actually say IP access list, either standard or extended, and with my own descriptive name. If you look at this place, here, they use standard. And when you use standard and press enter, you'll be on the named ACL format. You see that here you now permitted just a host, as though you are dealing with standard. Look at it. If standard format, it just permits a source. It's only source, permit source only. But in extended, like here, you're using extended here. So when you press enter, you'll be on named ACL mode. You see that here there's a protocol. I'm doing in form of extended. So there is source and there is a destination. So that is that for named one. Instead of using standard or extended, use named one. And named one is actually very good. Not just that, we use named ACL to even edit. So I will quickly run a named ACL. So let's say I run it here and run it here too. Let's say, oh, this person is only allowed to cross. Let me use named to do it. So enable config. Let me be sure there's no other configuration. Show running configuration or show access list. There's no access list here. So configure terminal. Configure terminal. So I'm using IP access list. I'm using standard. Let's call the standard name as in sales department. You see that I'm on standard named ACL. So standard named ACL mode. So I can say permit only hosts 192.168.1.2. That's all. How do I permit it? Which interface? Interface G00. So I can go to exit interface G000. I will see IP access group. Now, since I didn't use any number, I'm going to use the name that I use. Sales, which is sales. Inbound. That's all. So let me test. It's only this guy that is permitted to cross. So if I try it, if I say this guy, go to this place, it will fail. If I say this guy, go to this guy, it will be successful. Because that's the only person that is allowed. Look at it. To this place. Let's simulate it. So I'm playing it. It gets to the router will drop it because it's not permitted. See, that was why it failed. But this guy is permitted to go there. So if I play it, get to the router will check and permit it to go. So that is what I use on the standard named ACL. She's successful. Fine. Let me leave it on this page. Now let's do extended format. Now in the extended format, I want to do in such a way that people from this network can go to finance and sales, but they cannot go to admin. So they cannot go to admin. So let's configure it here. So enable Cisco show access list. Show access lists. There's no access list here. So configure terminal. Okay. So IP access list. I'm using extended now. This is a name here. I'm using extended, and I call it production to sales to finance. So you should be able to go to production and finance. So let me just give it like production to sales and finance. Let me give it that way. So how do I configure it now? People in production is I can just say permit anybody in production. I can say permit any, or I can just put the network. So the network is 192.168.2.0, 0.0.0.0.255. That's your wildcard. I can just say permit, sorry, there is supposed to be a protocol IP. So I'm dealing with extended. So I can just say permit IP any to 192.168.5.0. That is for finance. 0.0.0.255. I just want to just make this simple because ordinary I'm supposed to just deny it going to, I think that's better. So I can just say deny it from going to where? Admin is permit IP. Admin is 192.168.0.0.0.0.255. Sorry. .255. Deny production. Production is 192.168. Production is 2.0.0.0.255. So deny IP from production into admin. Enter. So in that case, I'm permitting any to any. Permit IP, of course. Permit IP any to any. Before that, I will not deny the rest. So my configuration. So where do I implement it? Here, G00. So I go to G00, exit, interface G00000. I see IP access group. The name I gave it was, I need to copy it, production. And as in, so it will take effect now. So let's try. If I think from here to here is successful. If I think from here to here, because of the first time I'm taking it, it will fail. But because of the brokers, where did I even do before? Here to here. So it's successful because there's no other brokers. So, but I cannot go from anywhere, go to any place here. You're going to fail. I can do it 100 times. It will fail. You can do it 1 million times. It will still fail. Okay, maybe we'll simulate it. So I can ping from here to here because of control I did before. I can also ping from here to here. So let's simulate it. We play. So the one that's supposed to go there is going. The one that's supposed to go there, going. So this one went and returned. You see that two of them are successful. But if I try to go where I denied, it will never go. So when it gets to the router process and deny it and drop it. So that is that for named ACL. I've given you the format of it. So if you're actually using extended, you use the format of extended. If you're using standard, you use format of standard. All depends. So, except you have any question I want to see if I can finish up things about access list today. Okay, so far that's for ACL, but there's something else I want to talk about, which is NAT. So in summary, we've talked about this standard access list, extended access list, and named access list. So, and we've talked about how we can use it to add more security to the virtual terminal connection. So the next thing we will talk about, that's just a summary of what we've just done so far. And in extended, you can actually filter both IP address, source IP address, destination IP address, and port numbers as well. We did all these things. So the next thing I want us to talk about is NAT, network address translation, is still part of ACL. There's something I want to talk about on NAT first before we now round up ACL. So NAT is network address translation. This thing has to do with how router converts private IP addresses to public IP addresses. Now, what I mean is that when you are trying to browse, assuming that this server now is on internet, when you are trying to browse, of course, your system will fill up the frame. I don't want to talk about all those ones now. I've explained all those ones before. It will fill up the frame. So when it gets to the router now, for instance, router will translate the source IP address to its own public IP address. Normally, your router will have a public IP address given to it by the ISP. Because if you don't have public IP address, there's no way you can access public network like internet. So your router will have, this is your public IP address you receive from your ISP. So when someone here is browsing, the person will fill up the table, will fill up the frame. So of course, in the place of source IP address, router will replace it with its own public IP address as a source. So it's actually translating your private IP address to a public IP address and now send. So when the receiver on the internet is responding, it will respond still to this IP address. So router will have a session with this guy when it made that translation, so that anytime any message comes back on this IP address, it will know that that message belongs to C2. So C3 cannot go until this guy has already closed this session with 2. That's the only time 3 can send, and this guy will not translate. Except in a case whereby you have pool of IP addresses. Like now, if you can see this network now, can you see this? I just made on the line of, can you see this on the line I just made?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in some situation where you have like up to 5 IP addresses, public IP addresses. So instead of maybe this guy waiting for this guy, maybe this guy have already sent and message has not come back yet. So instead of this guy that wants to send waiting, this guy can send also. Router will use the next IP address, like maybe have .1, .2, .3, and .4, .5. So when you guys send, router will translate to this, another person send, it translate to this, like that. So in that case, when it has pool of IP addresses, router can actually translate more. As there will be much more, it will be much more efficient because it has so many public IP addresses, unlike the one I showed us before. The one I showed us before is just only one. So until the session with that one is broken, router cannot translate again. So to make it more efficient, you can have pool of public IP addresses. That's what I just explained. Where, yeah, where was that? Here,
That's all.
we have pool. Now we have types of different types of NATs. We have different types of NATs. We have static NATs and dynamic NATs. Okay, we have two types of NATs. We have static NAT and dynamic NAT. That is static NAT and dynamic NAT. Static NAT is actually used if you want to actually map a particular IP address to a public IP address. For instance, you have a server in your network and you want people to have access to that server from internet, just as Google, Yahoo, and web hosting companies, they have servers in their network. So, and you want people to be having access to that server from internet, you use static NAT configuration. But dynamic NAT is what I just showed you, where you have pool of IP addresses. So this one is dynamic. You can actually select any particular one, similar ones and all of that. So when we come back again, I will continue from the NAT. I'll start from static NAT. How do we configure static NAT? Except you have any question. Okay, that's it here. This is the command for static NAT configuration. And I need to give you a diagram. So I'll explain this. Now, normally, if you look at this place, you see that this place is a local IP address. This is a public IP address. So your server that you want to give a static